Welcome to the third episode of Founders Only. My name is Ron Baitiong, their host. And again, very, very excited about this episode because we will have two of the finest female founders in the Philippines. And their name is Mel Nava of 1Export. And second, it will be Carmina Bayombong of InvestEd. They're both good friends of mine and I admire what they've been able to do. And today is going to be all about talking about the hustle of female founders in Founders Only. Because number one, they're going to be talking about what's it like being a female founder or a Pinay founder in the Philippines. What are the trials that they have to go through and what are the handicaps that they have to go through in order to make their startups work. Number two, they will give us an update of the stuff because both of them have last been here almost 3 years ago. So it's been a long time since they've been here and they want to give us updates over what they've learned as a leader, how they sacrificed, and a lot more in talking about that. And stick around till the end because they gave us such an amazing top 5 or Founders Only top 5 where they picked very, very interesting top founders that they respect and they want to give flowers to. Again, this is Founders Only and stick around till the end. Founders Only is brought to you by PayMongo, the payment gateway for business growth. PayMongo allows your business to accept online payments from customers through Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, Maya, online banking, buy now, pay later, and many more, all with just one online platform. Sign up for free at paymongo.com. Also brought to you by Capita. Capita's software solution seeks to automate the equity management process for startups, including workflows around cap tables, ESOPs, due diligence, and transactions. Sign up at capita.com to get started with your digital cap table, ESOP, award granting, and all things equity. Free for companies with under 25 stakeholders. And brought to you by GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank is owned by the Gokongwei Group, the same companies that brought you brands you love, like Cebu Pacific, Robinsons, True Value, Toys R Us, South Star Drug, and many more. GoTime Bank makes next-level banking a breeze with its convenient account opening process. It takes less than 5 minutes to get started via the app. Plus, get your GoTime Bank Visa card at one of their kiosks for free. Download the GoTime Bank app today and experience the next level of banking. You may visit www.gotimebank.com.ph for more details. And SeekCap. SeekCap is a lending platform powered by UBX Philippines. With SeekCap, you can easily apply for a loan from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from the comfort of your home nationwide. Visit www.seekcap.ph, sign up, and apply for a loan now. That's www.seekcap.ph. Take your business to new heights by seeking capital with SeekCap. Welcome to the third episode of Founders Only, and I'm here with my girls. It's gonna be a very interesting episode. If there's two women founders that I admire the most, are resilient and gritty in my book, it's these two. So without further ado, let's welcome these two amazing girl bosses that I admire so much in what they're doing. Miss Carmina Bayombong of InvestEd and Mel Nava of 1Export. Whoop, whoop. Welcome back
Yay.
to the show. There you go. It's always nice. We've always been seeing each other in random occurrences.
Yep.
In Tatler events where we have massive imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here? You know?
Food is too fancy.
Yeah, like how do you use the rest of the kutsara? You know, right? But it's always great to have you. And again, been big fans of what you guys do. I've had you both separately in Hustleshare. So if you want to understand how these girls started their hustle, you can check it out on the description box below and hustle behind 1Export and InvestEd. But the reason why I got them together at the same time is because if there's two people that resemble grit and also are very, very vocal advocates of the women founder scene here in the Philippines, it's these two, okay? So that's good. So without further ado, it's gonna be Chokaran in Founders Only, by the way. Well, I want to understand now, how's it been like since the last time you've been on the show? So let's start first with Carbs before we start. Let me just do my proper intro. So InvestEd obviously is the leading student loan
Yes.
platform in the country. And again, they contribute so much in helping social mobility.
Yep.
And I'm a big proponent of social mobility. I believe in social mobility. I'm a product of, again, I always say I'm an anomaly. I came from a very poor background, and through hard work and incredible hustle, I got
Yep.
here. But I don't want to be the last of my of this batch or whatnot. And Carbs, just talk about real quick what InvestEd does and how's it been since the last time you've been on the
Yeah,
show?
no. Oh my gosh, Ron. It's been like last time I guested was 2018. I remember it was like about the hustle of winning the Cartier
Yes.
women's
We were in a
initiative.
coffee shop.
Oh my gosh, that's a
Back
very, very
office.
tiny office. And
Mandala
Ron
Park.
didn't have this super beautiful studio yet.
There you go.
So congrats.
Thank you.
But I remember back in 2018, that was the first time we got our like a major funding, which was $100,000 from Cartier,
Which we
Lux-
celebrate back then. It's a
Yeah.
big deal.
the luxury brand. I like $100,000 seemed so big.
Yeah.
At the time, and then fast forward to today. Yeah, a lot has happened. Very, very. Nothing has changed about our mission, which, as you know, InvestEd's mission is very simple. It's education for all, because exactly like it helps people move up in life. And I always get asked like, "Oh, you survived the pandemic recession," and I'm like, education is like it's no matter like if the world gets worse, like the more people need that, right? So yeah, very briefly, we've evolved to be, I believe, have the best student loan product in the region. We
Amazing.
give students loans that they can fit to their life situation. So we really like push the boundaries on our loan design, giving students like 2 to 5 years to pay different types of loans. Our analytics, also huge leap, multiple versions of our algorithm, and we've maintained really good repayment rates over the pandemic and recession. So yeah, and then lastly, we continue to be unlike other lending companies, even though our business is lending. So we still provide like coaching support to our students, which when I was starting InvestEd, I pitched this to a lot of bankers, and they're like, "Girl,
Girl,
Yeah, you
they said that. Girl.
yeah." Like, you can't do lending and coach borrowers. Like, that's
Why?
that's not a thing. There's no lending company that like, tries to also coach the borrowers. But we really like kept at that, and that's been a huge driver of, our opinion. So we've done 100 million pesos in loans.
100 million.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, right? Like what? 100 million pesos in loans to
Amazing.
borrowers. Yeah, we really made strides there, and like looking to grow it to 1 billion pesos in loans disbursed as soon as we can. Yeah, so that's what's been happening. Me as a founder, I think we'll talk about that later.
This is the good stuff only. We
Yeah.
start with good stuff. Then we unpack the shit
Yeah.
underneath.
And to be honest, it's been a little bit scary because like in my line of business, like Mel knows, is like I always joke like student loans as a vertical, like none of like it's literally a vertical that is not doing well in any country.
Wow.
Right?
That's
And
scary.
so
Mm.
a lot of like student loan companies died all over the world when the pandemic hit and so on. And so to be like, one of the last ones standing and like growing, we didn't have to, retrench or let any people go, and like
Mhm.
we've been growing our team. It's been scary going through that journey, but overall, like the entire InvestEd team has been very pumped.
Yeah. And that's a testament, obviously, to their founder. Okay. How can you be very pumped if your founder is not pumped? Okay. There you go. That's it.
That's
Pump it up.
nice.
Pump
Yeah.
it up. There
Yeah.
you go. Okay, that's amazing, Carbs. And again, of course, to our other good friend here, Mel Nava of 1Export, who obviously is the leading export startup in the Philippines. Not even close. That's the only one that really
Yeah.
does well. And I've had Mel also in the same year,
2020.
2020,
Yes.
right before
The
the
pandemic.
pandemic bamboozled every one of
Oh my
us.
God.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Mel, since 2020, talk about the good stuff. The before we unpack and before this becomes MMK for all of us, right? How's it been since 2020 all the way to 2023 now?
So the last time you had me, we had one product, which is
Okay.
basically we help small businesses either become compliant for export, right?
Okay.
And then also find them buyers. At that point, we had absolutely no branding.
Okay.
We didn't know how to differentiate our product.
Okay.
Obviously, now we have three major products. We focus on three things in the supply chain that
And what are these?
nobody really talks about. First is the compliance aspect. So if you want to export, you don't know how or where to start. We have 1Export supplier where we help suppliers, small businesses become compliant for the different markets. The second product that we have is 1Export trade. So we sell Southeast Asian products at wholesale prices to different buyers abroad. So you could be a bakery or you could be a small store, or you could be as big as a distributor or a retail store or a supermarket, and we'll sell the products at competitive prices, small and medium business products. That was the major products we had back then. And after the pandemic, we launched Ship It. So
Ship it. There you go.
my shirt.
Ship it. No, just
So,
kidding.
Show it.
Oh, alright.
so Ship It it's basically fast, reliable, and affordable shipping from Southeast Asia to the rest of the world. Our strength is in the US. We find that a lot of people want, the balikbayan box is so common. You can bring it for like $70 to $100 from the US back to the Philippines.
What?
But if you want to bring from the Philippines to the rest of the world, it's so much harder and it's so expensive. So over the past 2 years, we've been growing, but also working on like making sure that we're able to reduce the cost and the experience. Making it so we're trying to reduce the cost of shipping and also make the experience very seamless and very easy, so that businesses and individuals can just have this really nice experience of doing cross-border sourcing and shipping from the Southeast Asia, Philippines, and wherever to the rest of the world. So yeah.
That is amazing. All right, that's the good stuff. Now we will unpack this because the overarching topic I wanted to discuss here is obviously how is it like being a women founder in the Philippines? And let's just call a spade, right? Again, being a founder is already hard. The odds are against you. Nine out of 10 startups fail, right? But again, let's just call a spade where let's admit that there is an extra handicap for a woman founder to thrive in the Philippines. So I'll start with that, I guess. And in any order who wants to take, and this can be a whole other conversation what it is, but in your experience, what do you think are the biggest challenges of being a Pinay founder? A male counterpart of being a founder, which is already hard. Whereas if you guys are Pinay and female, what are those extra layers of things you have to go through? Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Here we
I-
go.
I see you bursting with it, Mel.
I'm a little scared of this podcast
Okay.
and the things I'm going to say.
Okay.
No, but okay. Let's start with, I think when you're a female founder, again, you already said it, the odds are against you. You are almost always expected to fail.
Why?
I don't know. Like, I don't think, of course, there are, in the Philippines, we're still considered like a matriarchal society. I relatively
Scared of my mom and my wife.
everyone is scared of their mothers, right? I am scared of my mother. But I think, for example, in the startup scene, one of the things that I was told when at least I was raising money the first time was, in the Philippines, I think there's already a bias because they're saying you don't have any known unicorns. Like nobody that has gotten to a 1
regardless
billion.
of gender, by the way.
Yeah, regardless of
There's
gender.
no unicorn yet.
In the Philippines, right? So there's no unicorn yet that like legit hit $1 billion US, right?
Yep.
The second one that I was told was the exit size. Like, okay, if you get acquired by another entity, the exit size is relatively lower versus, say, your Southeast Asian counterparts. So if you get acquired in Indonesia, right, you probably get acquired for a much higher amount, right? If you get acquired in Vietnam, you probably get acquired at a much higher amount than if you get acquired in the Philippines. it's still the exit size, it's relatively low,
Okay.
right? And then yeah, I think lastly, it's like, you don't really have or at least for Carbs and I, when we were starting, we didn't really have a female founder to really look up to, right? I mean,
And you guys are the ones that are sticking out. I mean, there's one, and she's so hard to catch. Have you ever heard of Myla Villanueva?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
No, yeah, yeah. Like I think way back, she exited like one of the first tech
And
companies.
when I said she exited, she corrected me. Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 times.
Yeah.
Myla freaking Villanueva.
Yeah.
Look it up. I've had her on Hustleshare. It's gonna be in the description box below. YouTuber now, oh, look at that.
So you were able to get her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had a chance. She visited the studio before. But other than that, she's the only one that I can think of. I mean, there's-
exactly.
yeah.
Like, you don't have any female startup founder that you could really, really look up to,
Yeah.
right?
And I think like it sounds not really simple, but like it sounds like, oh, it's not really like a big deal. But when you're trying to when you have a mission that no one has really like achieved it, and then you can't really have examples of people with a similar profile like you. It just like, how can you succeed in your business if you can't even convince yourself?
That is
They
so
like
true.
right, like when you come into rooms, and that, I mean, that's one of the major things I had to overcome, which is really to fully believe that I was good enough for my mission.
Wow.
And I think that so I spend a lot of days like, and I do think this really like hindered my startup from scaling faster, because like every day I had that heavy thought wherein like, I don't feel like I'm the one, like I don't feel good enough for my mission. And the reason why I felt that is like, was I any less smarter than someone who had built a unicorn? Or like it's really because like we're humans, like it's hard for us to believe something we have not seen. But I came to a point where I'll get around to answering the question, but I came to a point wherein like I always like just sat down and reflected and like, okay, I have this vision, which is like this specific make of a loan product for students. And no one else in the world like believes in the same approach. And right. And for me, it's like, it's not going to be anyone else but me right now. And so like, I'm okay with that. I may not be good enough for my mission, like in terms of like the full spectrum that's needed, but like, this is me and like, I want to pursue it, and like, like I'll stick with that. Right. And yeah.
No, but how do you guys rally through those again barriers that are laid in front of you? Then say, okay, numbers are bad against you, and what? And by the way,
I'd love to answer that. Yeah.
regardless of gender, I've had this too, right? But how do you rally and ask female founders that are friends? Because that's what's beautiful about it, right? You guys are rooting for each other, actively helping each other. But how do you even pull through when, again, you have your chip on your shoulder and you're doubting yourself at the same time? And again, you look around, who the hell has done this before? I don't even know.
I'll go ahead and I think, personally, I always call this, like it's for my personal experience, it's been like a triple layered bias. Like I'm a female minority impact entrepreneur.
Wow.
So you're female, like, so we all know this around the world. Like, there's already like a layer of bias there, right? And then when you're minority, meaning like I'm a middle class entrepreneur.
Yep.
Let's be real. Like, let's look at all the there's kind of like an internal hierarchy even within the female, which is that as a middle class Filipina entrepreneur, I didn't have the social capital to like get in the doors I needed to get into to scale,
line up.
Yeah, to basically like hit my targets faster. I didn't have financial capital. Like, I always got that like, you should raise from family and friends first. Like, that's what they do in the valley. I'm like, this is not the freaking valley. Like, this is literally bukid. Diba? Like, I ain't got friends with, like like these dollars, like and then the impact aspect of it, there is also like discrimination wherein you always get bucketed in the lower potential business when you have when you have a very deep SDG, sustainable development goal type of like impact. And so female minority impact entrepreneur, couple that with I'm in a vertical that is not a trendy thing for VCs.
Yeah.
It's so niche, right? Like
Yeah.
student loans, even if you're investing in edtech or fintech, like no one's doing student loans, right? And so plus it's like a vertical that's not performing well since the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And even before that, like, and so to your question, like, every year, especially like I think when you're fundraising, that is the time in a founders, whether you're male or female, where like it's really the most emotionally harrowing, I would say, because like you're pitching people every day, and like you just get told every hour of like what's wrong with your business, right? Or
Not
like
just your business. It goes to the point where what the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right?
And so, like it gets very, very like heavy, plus all that imposter syndrome, right? Because and then all the so how was I able to, I have a really amazing executive coach, which I would recommend to other founders.
What? Shout out, give him flowers.
Yeah. Shout out.
Ang pangalan niya.
Yeah. No, this actually, his name's David.
David.
David Heng. So he does
David
consulting for startups, and I've actually been meaning to tell him like, we wanna
affiliate link, David Lang, 10%. Easy.
David Heng. Yeah, actually, like, let me connect you.
No,
so,
I'm just kidding. David Heng, flowers to you.
I was telling him, he's a super successful executive coach. He even coaches like some billionaires or whatever. And I'm like, why are you coaching me? I don't even have money to pay you. It was like sponsored by Cartier, and so, I was talking to him about this, that, I'm tired of these like chips on my shoulder, right? Because I go through this every year. Like I fundraise, like I see my metrics. It's like much better than my peers, but they've raised much more in much less time, right? And so he said something that really stuck to me, which is that it's getting out of the victim,
mentality.
It's like, as long as you feel that you're the central character in these biases, that it's just you, you cannot rise like above it, and you have to think about it like, can you be the heroine character, which is that whatever we're experiencing, like in terms of like the biases, if we think about it in a way that there are millions of other women entrepreneurs in the world experiencing the same, and like and whatever we do, like we try to succeed in our business, we're like, it's not a story about us. It's like, it's a story about all of the women entrepreneurs.
This is a common thing happening.
Exactly. And so the thing with imposter syndrome is it's actually it's not trying to erase it, but it's not letting it overcome how you spend your days.
Got it.
Right? So, you like, okay, you have doubts about yourself, but you don't let it rule your day. And the way to get to that other point is that this is a horrible, feeling and experience, but it's not just me, one female entrepreneur, it's millions of us. And today I'm gonna get up and like I'm gonna pitch that funder or like get that sale. And if I succeed in that, I'm moving the movement forward.
Correct.
Right?
And you're representing all of you guys.
Yeah.
That it is possible. But Mel, I'll just throw this to you real quick. But how vital is this? Because again, you're right. You're not the only one going through this. And for somehow, you guys have now built this ecosystem of Pinay female founders who are, again, not just talking on wherever, you're actively helping each other out. And you guys are two big proponents of this. What have you guys built in that community? And what are the other things that, again, Carbs was saying, that people go through, that you've seen or heard from other Pinay founders that gets thrown at them? And how did you overcome them together?
I guess, what's nice about the female founders community in at least the Philippines is like, people really talk to each other. And I've also seen this, by the way, in Indonesia.
Okay.
Like they actually have like the female founders get together over dinner. I had one before Labarat, and even here in the Philippines, as much as possible, maybe every month or every quarter, and like we like legit have to talk about our problems, right? Because there's really, it's a safe space where you could just talk about the biases that you have. Like funding is definitely one problem of female founders here in the Philippines. It's really, really hard to get funding. There is no sugarcoating to it. It's like, of course, there are the lucky ones.
Yep.
Carbs and I are fairly lucky, but but we're not like we're not the luckiest, right? And I mean, it's obviously funding is one, and it's like it's normally talking about people who maybe fund female startups or people who fund people in the space and believe in that same things. So it's always aligning whoever it is that can possibly fund and help at least break that barrier, right?
Got it.
But I guess the other thing that we also talk about is management. Like how do we manage
Yes.
the team given the limited resources that we have, given the fact that we don't have everything, we don't have a lot of funding, we don't have all the resources in the world, right? So how do you manage that? And I think it's really been very helpful, because sometimes you actually go through the same thing. You may be in the same or different stages, but it's like it's maybe better or worse for somebody else, and they always have an opinion, and that way you could overcome these things, right? So I think these things are very important.
I think, super agree. Well, apart from everything Mel said, which is like, it really helps you with your business because like you get to share like secrets and hacks.
Yep.
Which is much more different. You'd be surprised when it's coming from like women, like to a fellow women entrepreneur. It's like
there's a higher level of empathy towards that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's much more tailor fit, really.
Right.
Like it's something we can usually the advice in our like circles. It's something you can really like really readily apply because it's so close to you, right? But apart from that, I think one thing I love is and I do think it's very important, but not really spoken a lot about, is like how to manage life stages.
Yes.
When like transitions into your life stages while you're also growing your startup, right? So transitioning, if you're someone transitioning into motherhood, or if you're someone thinking about, hey, my company is getting traction and I don't know if I want to have kids.
Yep.
Right. And so, we have
that's a real factor.
Yeah, and it's been like amazing hearing from others, other female founders in our group who have actually like really thought it out. I'm like, oh, hey, like you can freeze eggs, or like, oh, like which country is it best to freeze eggs, and like, and and then it's like tailor fit to like, okay, if my business gets acquired, like I'm gonna go that route, or like, and even like lifestyle, really fun stuff like dating, which Mel has. She's like one of the gurus about that.
Wow.
Like that's literally her.
I feel very ashamed.
Yeah.
Now, but yes.
And so it's kind of like it's like the topics in our female founders group. It's like valuations and like managing,
with dating.
With dating.
Yeah. And that kind of solves like, the things we went through in the beginning where there were like no role models.
Right.
So
And
now
you're going through this together.
Yeah.
hand
And
in
so
hand.
we get to talk with someone like one or two steps ahead, that's a huge deal. Right.
Got it.
And like, oh, hey, you can actually like, modify your lifestyle that way. Like, so I think that's one of the things that, then apart from that, I think the it's really starting to become a little bit more formed where,
Yes.
I think, well, personally, I think I'm the one in the female founders group where like they know I'm like super, what's the word for it?
Feisty.
Spicy.
Feisty.
Because I've gone through all of that triple layer.
whammy.
But
Mhm.
before I was just trying to be like, okay, what else can I change for myself so that I get these layers away from
Yeah.
like, but I realized no, like that just doesn't work. It's like it's not being who you are. And so I've like, for the lack of words, like, stopped giving a fuck. Um, and
fine.
and
This is my show. Do you not know we cuss out here?
and yeah, to be honest, like I think it's come to a point where some things do need to be like, called out, or like, because this whole, biases or lack of like an equal playing field, like based on gender or something, like there's still folks in the ecosystem, I think, like who deny that problem exists. For me, that's one of the saddest parts. I mean, I'll come out here and say it, which is like in movements, like one of the most powerful parts of a movement is when someone from the majority group speaks for the minority group.
Yes.
Right? So if you're black, someone white like speaks out and says like something is not right.
Yes.
That is much more powerful than the minority group,
Yeah.
and
Singing in
so
chorus.
so like personally, I just haven't seen that here, right? There's not been like a male VC in the Philippines who's really come out in public and said there is a problem.
Hopefully, Hustleshare and Founders
Yeah.
only.
And I don't know why they're afraid, because like female founders are literally going to worship whoever that would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully this one
Guys, like
changes the narrative.
no, because like it's still like no one wants to come out there and like and we're coming out there and saying like there's biases exist. It's not
And let's
super
call that spade a spade.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, but like it's come to a point where it's hard to like move forward until someone from the other group, like majority group, like who's really gonna join us. And so like those are some of the things that I guess in our circles like we also discuss.
Got
Yeah.
it. All right, now let's check our first break, and when we come back, we will now do a deep dive in how you navigate through all these biases, these handicaps that you've gone through, and do a deep dive of how you became better leaders and better entrepreneurs and better founders. Well, let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, are you tired of bank transfer fees and low interest rates on your savings? Say hello to GoTime Bank. GoTime Bank offers interest rates 50x higher than traditional banks. Enjoy this rate on your savings. No minimum amount, no deposit caps, and no tasks or missions to complete. With GoTime Bank, you can make quick and secure transfers to other banks with 3 bank transfers per week. Plus, earn Go Rewards points and redeem them as cash with a simple tap in the GoTime Bank app. Experience the next level of banking with GoTime Bank. Download the app now or visit www.gotime.com.ph to experience next level banking. It's GoTime! Hey hustlers, it's a brand new season and I have a brand new tool that will help you scale your startup properly as you grow your team and give them equity eventually. And if you want to have a record of ownership management, efficient equity workflow, and award grants digitally, Capita has you covered with CapMap. CapMap is designed to enable cap table and ESOP management, as well as digital share insurance for companies across South and Southeast Asia. Also, Capita provides ESOP advisory services for you to set up your plan and engage your employees through equity awards. And trust me, this is a boon because as you grow your team, you want to give their best people a piece of the company that they're hustling for. Investing shares and giving ESOP is not easy if you don't have a product like this. So please do check it out and sign up now at capita.com with a Q. Again, that's capita.com with a Q. And it's free for companies that have under 25 stakeholders. Get ready to experience the power of seamless equity workflow management today. And we're back in the break. We are still with Carbs and Mel, easily the best, one of the best female founders in the Philippines. Again, we're talking about handicaps and whatnot. I want to now know how you navigate through all these things, because at the end of the day, let's just give one example. And this is regardless of gender. We eat nose for a living, especially in the realm of fundraising. So talk about your experiences in, getting nose for a living and how that affects our psyche as founders. Because like for me, I've been raising forever. There are days where I'm lucky because PNA was in the right flavor in the month, where audio was booming, and all of a sudden that tide turned. Now it's AI.
Yeah.
Last year, what was it last year? Web 3? I forgot. Yeah.
Yes.
Web3.
Web
yeah.
3. This year it's AI. Right? So you're
Yeah.
not the flavor of the month, but you need to continue raising for your startup because that's your role as a CEO. You need to provide
Mm.
and still rally the team regardless of how broken you are inside. Right? And I say broken because I'm in pieces a lot of those times, but you have to be that person that shows everything's gonna be all right. But when at night when you're just alone, am I even okay? Are we even gonna make it? And that's those are the saddest things that go through your head. But I want to know how you guys navigate through that on your own journey. Mel, I'll start with you. How do you get the nose? And does it even get to you? How do you navigate through that?
So I guess the first round that we raised, which was announced, so we didn't announce our second round, but the first round we raised, I basically had imposter syndrome after that because I was just so tired and of all the no's. I think I even had the no's on an Excel sheet
Oh my
and
God.
why, right? So if I got rejected, why, right? And it was crushing, and to a point where I almost like changed the business model to what every investor wanted. It almost was like I let whatever the investor wanted define my business,
Yeah.
right? And so that was crushing. I would like to say there are the no's that were harder were the ones that they talk to you, then they ghost you.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's no closure. Parang relationship. Like there's no closure.
Dating Mel in
Right?
the house right now.
There's no closure, right? There's no like it's like
Mhm.
what happened,
'Cause
why?
they're always afraid to like say a definitive
Yeah.
no.
Like what
So
did I
wanna be
do
able
wrong?
To come back.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? But there were no's that were like constructive also.
Yes.
Right?
Which are
And-
the best ones.
Yes, right. And they would say, this is why they didn't invest. And
Correct.
it's very clear. The no's that are good are also like the ones that are fast. Like, they
Yes.
tell you immediately why, right? What they are looking for exactly and why it was a no. So those were no's that were like constructive. I guess after that first round of like raising, I took time to like find myself, right? And like just see like why was I feeling that way? And I think on the second round, it was like clear to me, to just take the no's as like a way to filter those who were really believing in the problem that I solved.
Yeah.
So when I raised my second round, it was being very clear with the investor, telling them, this is the problem that we are solving. It is very hard.
Mhm.
It is going to take a lot of time. But this is the value that we have been giving so far. And so far, these are the things that we have achieved. And if you want to put in more money, then great. Then we will build this together. But if you do not, like, I will not take it against you. And I've had that thing where it was like, it was very liberating on that end because it was like, there are times where you would take no and feel very bad about it and say I'm gonna prove you wrong and I'm always I like that. There are no's that rally you and pump you up so you could become better,
Right.
and you could prove them wrong at the end of the day.
It's another chip on your shoulder.
Right. But, I was talking to, VCs and also a friend, like, the VCs will not care if they said no to you and you become a unicorn. Right. For them, it was like they didn't care. Right. Because they weren't the ones building. Right. And I think when it was clear to me that, the reason why I was doing this was not to prove anybody wrong or not to prove anybody anything. The reason why I am doing this is because I want to solve cross-border trade, make it easy and affordable for Southeast Asia. And I want to be the one that solves that problem. Like, I suddenly just, felt, okay, if you reject, it's okay, right? Because we're not aligned, or you maybe want something else, or I'm not part of your investment thesis, or this is not
Correct.
something you believe in. And I shouldn't feel bad about it.
And I'd like to share my experience here because I was the exact same guy. Matter of fact, I even like rally myself. Oh, I'm gonna mess this guy up. Eventually, I'll prove you wrong. But it's the young founder in us. Which, by the way, as Tito and Tita now, again, we're same age, Mel. You're younger than us, Carbs. Okay,
Okay.
so that's good. Bless. Okay, but one thing that I learned also in going through this process, I was the exact same thing. Mamba mentality, Jordan. I'm gonna prove you wrong. You're gonna regret this down the road. Which in turn, at the short term, helped me out. Because it rallied me, it's another chip in our shoulder. It helped us survive and hit the metrics that we need to hit. But there was a pivotal moment last year that really changed my perspective over how I react when I get a no. Because regardless if they said no the right way, I would take it better. Like, okay, constructive criticism. I hate the same no's as well that you hate, where you just get ghosted. But it's a part of the game, right? But I went through the Insignia Ventures Academy program, where again, shout out to Inglantan of Insignia. He made me go through it so that I understand how VCs think. And you're right. They don't fucking care.
They don't care.
Not because they don't care about you as a founder, because they actually do. So here's what I learned. What I learned is that VCs, the thing that they actually, us startups that they talk to, is called deal flow. The more startups they get to talk to, the better of chances for them to be able to say, and an analyst will come through. I will really dissect your business because my job is to bring it up to the IC. The investment committee usually it's a 2 to 3 man or whatever that basically dissects two things that need to do. Is this deal worth pursuing? Is this aligned with our investment thesis? So again, if it's pasok, because some funds have a mandate over the only type of startups that they will invest in, what stage, what vertical, and why. So if it's not pasok, sorry, even if you're the investment person likes you, sorry, no deal. But it doesn't mean that they don't like you. Again, it's just another number. But second, right, once they say no and it gets to IC, there's another layer. And typically, you've made it to that another layer when they're asking for, hey, can I see your data room? Hey, can they have follow-on questions, right? That means you've gotten to another layer and they're talking about you more. But sometimes it's just because there's a certain metric you didn't hit or the TAM is too small and whatnot. After learning all of this, guys, what I realized is that at this point is that you need also how you take the no is so much more important. Because this is not going to be our last startup. It's how you take the no. Because if you took that no like a kid, and yeah, you're so grumpy about it, and like, oh, I'm gonna F you up, and we try to throw shade. Word gets around, and you know how the power of back channeling is super powerful here.
Yeah.
So that's just what I learned, and then I realized, you know what, it's okay. And now after learning that, I've had so many founders that said no to me, and I'm freaking good friends with them.
You mean funders?
Funders, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
VCs and founders say no to
Yeah.
me. I will be weirded
think-
out why you say no to me because I'm not trying to raise.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carbs, go ahead.
No, I think I love funders who are decisive because if we're talking about back channeling, it's two-way, right? Those who like have zero empathy for founders in their time. Like we get it, VCs have more of the luxury of the time. But like, I talk with some VCs, like they have a lot of empathy with like entrepreneurs and know that
And a lot of them really root for you.
no, exactly. Even
It
if
sucks that they can't write you a check.
exactly.
Mhm.
And a lot of these are like the more professional, experienced, funds, right? But like they know how to be like decisive, right? And so I think, on the entrepreneur side, like there's also a lot of like obviously underground, talk about okay, which VCs are like okay to deal with.
Yeah.
But it in relation to the topic, super agree with you both. I think in like my first major like more of larger funding round, really learned the hard lesson of like funder fit. Right. And it's like, okay, if you're getting a lot of no's, are you spending a lot of time with funders who are not fit? And I think for me, it was especially difficult, I would say, like for InvestEd because people like boxes. And just people couldn't seem to put us in like a specific box. Right. And so
Same. I went through the same thing. Are you a podcast? Now you're also all doing all.
No, exactly. And like it's kind of I enjoy, meeting with investors where they understand that innovation is, part of it is not being in a box. Right. And so, yeah, for me, like learning funder fit, in my personal experience, it's like, I drilled it down to worldviews. Because it's like, so we're an impact business at InvestEd. We're not social enterprise because we're very hungry for profits.
Yeah.
And our hunger for profits like fuels like better impact.
Of course.
Right. But we're not like pure capitalist where we would pursue profit like in sacrifice of student welfare and like mess up students' lives. Right. So but there's sort of a dichotomy in the worldviews. Like in my experience, that's why I got so much no's because there's largely a worldview which I realized was not the funder fit for me of like people who think that impact and profits can't exist in the same box.
Where it's not zero sum in reality.
Exactly. And so, but emotionally, that gets very, very, like even if you're really good at like hyping yourself up and like, and you've thought of all of these technicalities, right? So for me, I think it's like imagining really your cup as a founder, and building that habit on a daily basis to check your cup. Like, is it full? Because our job is like, as founders, it's to pour into the cups of our employees.
Even if it's empty.
Yeah. So that's just it, Ron. You can't pour
what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's about, so how I evolved as a founder was really like being very conscious about how I'm always filling up my cup so that I could keep giving to the people I serve, whether employees or students or stakeholders, partners, and so on. And I think that what's worked is really like not doing work, like spending more time not doing work. It filled my cup and, to be honest, allowed me to like be a better leader.
Yes.
And I think that didn't apply in the early stages of my startup because now we have product market fit, like a very solid one. So we've entered the growth phase. But during product market fit stage, it's really a different type of founder. Like it's like building something out of nothing.
It's 0 to 1.
Exactly. Yeah. But in scaling, it's very different. It's
and
a
1
very
to 10 is different.
The very different kind of leadership. You need to be like super careful, like very stable, because you now have like a lot more employees. So yeah, and like in terms of managing all the no's, yeah, for me it's really just taking, what I would add is like who like really deciding who you want to listen to.
Yeah.
Because
take it with a grain of salt every time.
Yeah, because to be honest, we also meet a lot of like funders who really don't understand the business, right?
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like if they have a comment on the business model, it's like, okay, who am I going to listen to? This pool who like has more of that background and so on. And so that helped me sort of decrease the amount of like feedback I had to process, especially during fundraising.
Absolutely. Yeah. For Mel, how did you change as a leader over again this period? Because Carbs is right, and dude, you've experienced not just scaling in the Philippines. Again, Dexter Ligot Gordon said on episode 1 that we don't even know which time zone you're in sometimes. And you've scaled here and in Indonesia, right? And there's a certain type of leadership that you have to learn and unlearn at certain levels of your startup. What was that process for you like?
So, well, I went to Indonesia because you, introduced me to somebody.
No, but you wanted to go. I just happened to have a team there too and a core sec.
No, but thank you. I opened because like I was like, oh, I found a lawyer I could afford. I was like, and that was your lawyer.
Yeah.
But initially, yes, you wanted to
Oh,
open.
thank
in
you to
Indonesia.
Ventura Discovery, our investor, who made Reto. Okay, there
Yes,
you go.
Lexar
Yeah,
is
Lexar.
so.
Shout out. Yvonne.
So I guess how did I change as a leader, right? So initially it was like, when you come to a point where before product market fit, you're
Yep.
firefighting.
Yep.
You're firefighting, you cast a wide net,
Yep.
and you kind of just want to make sure that, you find product market fit somewhere.
Yep.
Right.
Shotgun approach.
Exactly, right?
Mhm.
So we started with that, obviously, and it's more like everyone just rolling up their sleeves and like, do this, do that, sure, right? I guess when it came to a point where we knew, okay, we're going to do this, right? And it's like opening in another market. The first things also that you ask yourself is, you know, is there a market? I mean, because you could be
Okay.
very ambitious and say, I want to open here and there. And then it's like, it's actually not the problem of that market, right? And, so before Indonesia, I actually went to an accelerator called Gojek Accelerate. So I was there in 2019.
Oh.
So we were it's like a female founder accelerator, for, across Southeast Asia. And that was when I initially fell in love with Indonesia. That was, I believe, October of 2019. I fell in love with Indonesia. It was my first time there because it was like, I was so amazed with the progress. It felt like, yes, I'm in the Philippines, but like if I go in Indonesia, I could maybe run this 5 times or 10 times much faster. Obviously, that is not always the thing, right? But, I guess when I run both the Philippines and Indonesia together, it's the Philippines is a little more mature, right? So, we've been running here for a couple of years now. Indonesia is like you're starting over from scratch. And what's nice about it is it allows you to not be very complacent or not say,
So
oh,
you're
I
0 to
know.
1 in one market and 1 to 10 in another
Yes,
market.
right?
Okay.
So, but what's nice about it is, it brings you back and it kind of humbles you because, again, you don't know everything.
Nope.
And what's nice about it is, it's hard to, how do I put this? It's hard to go in another market where you did not grow up in that market.
Yep.
You do not know people.
It's a language barrier.
Right, there's a
culture
language barrier. It's a different religion, right? But there is also something nice about starting over again.
Correct.
There is something nice about starting things from scratch and making things work.
Yep.
We're a year in Indonesia, so we officially we registered.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We registered. I believe April was when I came there. June was when we got all the documents. So this year we are officially 1 year. What's nice about Indonesia was, we totally changed the metrics this year.
Oh.
So we totally changed the metrics from growth to profitability.
Yes.
Our North Star became transaction count. And when we started doing that, right? Well, what we saw was, people obviously had to, it's a different culture altogether. Sorry, let me just say that again. Okay. It's a different culture altogether because, one, you have, in the Philippines, and you know this, Ronster, because you also open in Indonesia.
Yep.
One, you have the Philippines know how they sell, right? They're really like parang kapal na mukha, right? They don't care what you think, right? Because when you're growing up, you sing in Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Your
it's a
mother-
talent portion every time.
Yes, your mother forces you to go on stage, right?
Intense.
If you talk and if you give the valedictory speech, you're like, you're like the star, you're the favorite child, right?
The family.
In Indonesia, it's not like that, right? And so understanding that culture, but also learning from it has been very helpful to the team.
Mhm.
In Indonesia, what works for us is import, right? Which is actually not the strength of the Philippine team, right? And so I see these teams work together to like, become better. And, it's one thing where I never thought we'd get into importing. The same way I never thought, during the pandemic we'd get into logistics.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
these are things that, you learn and you grow from when you open in different market. The other reason why I wanted to open in Indonesia is it felt like the Philippines was such a small pond. Here when you do
Whole
something,
another level.
when you do something here and like say you get featured in a magazine or in a newspaper, people think they're like the shit. People think they've made it, right? Whereas when you start over again in a country that you did not grow up in, or you do not know the
Scary.
language, you get humbled, and you look, the metrics become different. The metrics become, am I helping my customers and am I solving for their needs? And so that's also sort of why we decided to open there. And this month, my team said after a meeting today, ideally we will be profitable this month. So,
Woo! There
Nice
you go. Whoop, whoop.
but it's also just breaking away from that barrier and just getting out of your comfort zone. And yeah, I guess it's worked for us.
I wanted to
thankfully.
comment, like, I think that's one of the thrilling things about being a founder. Like, maybe we're all kind of here with thrill seekers. You kind of don't know what's gonna
Or
happen.
just crazy, or we're
like
just
like
screwed in the
I
head.
I sort of have the same, like, you didn't think you were gonna get into importing, right? It's like you kind of also don't know how your product's gonna evolve.
Yeah.
But when it evolves into that very beautiful thing you never even imagined, it's like, wow. For me, those are the highs. One of the high parts of being a founder is like, yeah, starting stuff, seeing your product evolve,
And then figuring it out down the road.
Figuring it out.
Figuring it out. My bad. Okay. Figuring it out is the one thing I want to talk about before we take our last break. It's hard times right now. It's been for over a year.
like over 2 years.
Yep.
I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
But especially over there's this winter where there's just nothing out there in terms of VC money and out there and whatnot. And the main metric, like you said, it's now a race whether you're a unicorn, or not. We don't have unicorns yet, or all these, seed in
stuff.
between pre-A startups that all of a sudden you gotta survive and get to profitability. I want to know how you then lead your team during these times where having 6 months runway, it's such a luxury. Where again, in our time, we almost died in P&A, but we figured it out. I want to know, as individual founders, how do you navigate your team in doing two things? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
Number one, you still have to do the hyper growth approach.
Yep.
Just temper it down a little bit. And number two, with a tempered down approach, you still have to fundraise still, because it's not like you have all the runway in the world. How do you navigate your teams towards that, Carbs?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a tough time because exactly as you say, you have to pursue with like much less money. For me, number one is like over communicating. I think you can't communicate enough, and like for me, I practice like super transparency in the company. And so for our employees, our team, like I always have like these town halls where I explain, okay, this is where
How often do you do town halls?
recently every other week. And I really explain, like, this is our product, guys. This is where it is in the market. These are the threats, this is where we have to get to, and so on. So yeah, over communicating like really allows, I saw it really allowed our team to be like to move in like very like in one direction.
And it gets them involved.
Yeah.
In the whole grand scheme. And that's also in my experience, that's where you as a founder get to remind everyone the North Star.
Correct.
And why.
Yeah.
So it's powerful. What else?
Yeah, and apart from like over communicating, I think it's really boiling it down to essentials. So for me in leading our teams, it's like I always say, like, we'd rather be good at one thing than so what are, like, if you have 10 projects in that business unit, like what is the number one, right? Well, what is a project that you have to do right, like, and it has to happen, like,
Yeah,
just like
the biggest bet.
so it's helping the teams focus.
Yeah.
And you can't do that as a founder if you, like, you yourself are not focused. So I became like I don't know if I was telling this to Mel or another founder. I became very obsessive about strategy. So like I worked on strategy every week. So I always think about strategy, and then like it has to be really connected with what we're doing. Because when you have very limited resources,
Very small room for
right?
mistakes, or
Right?
not even a room for mistakes
exactly.
at all.
And sometimes you have to expect mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it will happen.
Yeah. And so yeah, like being obsessive about strategy over communicating, and I think for the third is stakeholder management. Just being able to not just with the team, but like talk to your investors, right? It's like, okay, hey guys, like I need to taper down some of the growth targets because this is how we're, and being able to ask for help.
Yes, and you have
Right.
to come clean, because as investors,
Exactly.
they always say this again. Foxmont, I love Ventura. A lot of our investors, Kumu and whatnot, have always been saying, "Hey, don't just tell me when it's good. Tell me when it's bad, and be
Yep.
transparent about it. Not just because, number one, we expect you to fail. There's gonna be things that you're not gonna get right.
Yep.
And we want to be involved when you're trying to figure it out. Don't tell us that, oh my God, your startup's already dead. We didn't even know. So you have to tell your investors
Yep.
when you're in trouble, because at the end of the day, it's their money running in your startup.
I mean, you're all in it together, right?
Correct.
So yeah, being able to ask for help, exactly, for investors. Hey, I'm struggling in this. Like, can you help? And also not just investors, but a very strong support system as a founder.
Yes.
So friends. So me and Mel, like, okay, do you want to?
Jowa. There
Yeah.
you go.
Do you want a rant session, right?
Okay.
And like, just being able to air it out, having that support system, that works. Yeah.
For you, Mel, what's that like in how you navigated through that? Because you went through rough shit.
I did. That's
And
all I
have-
can say.
Yeah, just rough shit. Again, near-death experiences and whatnot. But how did you navigate these tumultuous times that you went through with your team, with your investors, and most importantly, with yourself?
I think the first thing that came to mind when shit started hitting the fan
Yeah.
for a bit
That was
was,
a massive shit, by the way.
I have to say, yes, some massive shit. Was the first thing I thought about was, how did I want to get out of this? Right? What was the story I wanted to tell people?
Yeah.
Should I have gotten over this? Right? And the story in my head was, this happened to us, but we got up, we figured it out,
Okay.
And we wanted to be like a profitable company. And we're a sustainable, profitable company. And when obviously shit hit the fan, the first thing I did was tell my team that we will not let this shit define us. Right? This happened. This happens to startups, but we will not let these things define us, because more than anything, we went back to the mission, which was, you are here because you help businesses go global. That has always been the mission of the company. And so you always, like, when you pick up a call and answer somebody about their customer service concerns, right? You are helping somebody export. You're helping somebody ship to another country.
Yep.
And so we went back to the mission, and we were very we got everyone together and say, let's work on this together, right? And so after that, people became more conscious about, say, margins, for example.
Mm.
They're like, well, we're going to do this because we're going to make more money,
Yeah.
right? Or sales. People were trying to close as many sales as possible because they knew that it was going to help us get through things.
Yep.
I would like to think that normally when you go through challenges, it could make or break the company, right? And so, as founders, ideally you try to make sure it makes your company and not breaks the company,
Yep.
right? Because it's easy to break the company with terrible, terrible challenges. But it's also an opportunity to pick yourself up and come out stronger. And so that was really the story I wanted to say. And until now, it's really that I try to drill down with everyone in the team.
How about the investors? What did you tell the investors?
Well, again, as Carbs and you mentioned this, you have to be very, very transparent with the investors, right?
What was the feedback when you told them like that? All right, shit hit the fan, guys. What was the feedback? Because again, it's a mixed bag. It can be a mix of some and investors are just also human. Some are going to be disappointed. Some are going to be encouraging. What was that feedback for you?
I guess the feedback was obviously they were shocked, but also like. I asked for time. So I said, this happened. This is what we're doing right now. And I will come back to you with a more definitive solution in the next 2 weeks or in the next 3 weeks or in the next month. So it was very, very clear. For example, things like, we will get back to you with a simple financial statement. I will get back to you with the financials
Just being transparent with everything.
In a month after I have restructured things. So I think clarity and communication with the investors is very important. Obviously, it's still something I have to work on an everyday basis. But I legit went to my investors. I went to my customers, and I owned up to certain things. I owned up to we're gonna make sure we're gonna make sure that we come out stronger. We're gonna make sure that we provide a better service. And even at the hardest of times, if you are sincere and you are honest, people will still respect you for that.
I actually think it really builds trust. Like what do you do in a crisis, right? And so that's always etched into investors. Like, hey, when shit hit the fan, this founder told me straight off, right? And that
no sugarcoating.
Yeah, no, and that builds trust, right? Yeah, and well, personally, I was joking with you guys earlier, you're not a true startup until you've had a near death experience.
Yep.
But for our company, it's I super agree with Mel. It's can also be for the product end of things, right? The most difficult times for us at InvestEd, it brought about some of the most amazing features in our product today and our culture.
Yes.
Right. So you you don't let shit define your company, but you can also use the shit to really define who you are as a company. Okay, there's a crisis. This is who we are as a company, and this is where we're gonna go. And so, yeah, I think there's still silver linings, but it still feels like shit when shit hits the fan.
Absolutely.
Shit hits
It's the absolute worst. Oh God.
But shit hits the fan all the time. It's just a different form
You just get used to it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different form.
Because shit hits the fan all the time, I formed the new principle, which is I was telling my team, guys, we measure progress, not problems. So one thing we have to answer, are we in a better place than where we were?
Correct.
And if the answer is yes, then it's good. Because if we keep counting problems, to be honest, when you do well as a startup, what I learned is, I think a major cause of stress for me in the early stages of being a founder is that mindset that if you do well, you get less problems.
No.
That was completely
more money, more problems, man.
it's
That's what it is.
One founder told me it's for founders, the easiest day is always yesterday. So it's the better you do, the more insane the
it just
problems
gets more
are,
complex.
right? Problems you could not have imagined. And so, I felt I needed to pivot my mindset, which is that like really be focused on measuring the progress. Yeah.
All right, now let's take our last break, and when we come back, we will now deep dive furthermore on what they've developed as leaders and how they cope with more founder stuff, and they will do their founders only top 5 very soon. Let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, PayMongo is your payment gateway for business growth. With PayMongo, you can accept online payments from your customers through Visa and MasterCard, debit and credit cards, GCash, Maya, GrabPay, online banking, BNPL, installments, and many more. All with just one platform. For business owners, online payment collection used to be such a pain. Long negotiations and paperwork, complex developer docs, and having to gather all these proofs of payment from your customers would be a serious drag in your operations. Now with just one partner, you can simplify all of that and focus on growing your business. PayMongo's story showcases the resilience of Filipino businesses in today's digital economy. During the pandemic, they became a lifeline to countless businesses by helping them go online quickly, serve their customers, and generate revenue. They have since grown exponentially and now support thousands of businesses from SMEs to venture-backed startups and even the most established enterprises in the country. PayMongo's products allow you to accept all types of payments with or without a website, and they continue to expand into more streamlined financial services. So sign up for free today. Visit paymongo.com to get your business activated in 1 week or less. Hey hustlers, I know how difficult it is to do fundraising at the moment for any startup or any business. And especially given this market where investors are afraid to write any significant check that would help your startup either scale or extend your runway, your options are very, very limited. But don't worry, I think I found a solution that just might help. So if you're seeking capital for your sari-sari store, online business, restaurant, or startup, SeekCap's got you with a 24/7 fast and easy online loan application process, minimal paperwork, and real-time updates. Say goodbye to long lines and long waits with SeekCap. UBX Philippines' online lending marketplace for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Choose from a wide variety of loan products from 5,000 pesos up to 1 million pesos from trusted lenders. With SeekCap, you can apply for a business loan that's tailored to your needs, whether it's for capital, production, operations, or expansion. And check this out. You can apply anytime, anywhere in the Philippines. So what are you waiting for? Sign up at www.seekcap.ph. That's www.seekcap.ph and apply for a loan now.
And we are back from the break. We are still with Carbs and Mel. Carbs of InvestEd and Mel of 1Export. Again, love the candor that you guys showed. And again, very commendable as leaders. But let's just dive a little bit deeper before we talk and give flowers to all our fellow founders out here too. I want to understand in terms of individually, because again, founder life and startup life takes so much from us. It takes so much that sometimes it's even like, what did I get out of this? Right? I want to understand two things. Because in this journey that I've been in PNA, and again, this is my third rodeo, but every single time, I thought I've sacrificed enough until I realized, shit, there's a lower sacrifice or there's a higher sacrifice that I apparently can go just to save my startup or to give my startup a fighting chance to do that. And through all of these things, I then developed new superpowers, right? So I'll give you an example. Obviously, we've all gone through the process of not receiving salary. What is a salary in a startup founder? It's something that is variable. Okay. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And when shit hits the fan, the very first thing that goes out the window is your founder's salary. Now, if things get better, obviously, you're gonna be lucky if you can pay yourself the right amount, right? first of all, and most of us take pay cuts, if not even take a pay at all. But so I obviously did that to make sure that PNA survives during the rough seas. But second thing that I've developed is that I now realize that at this point, I just have a bigger threshold for adversity. That it's gonna be very, very, very hard to rattle me now, right? And I develop poise over time. And sometimes I kid myself, like, what the hell? Why are you not scared? Because I got so used to being on survival mode already. 1 month, 2 month runway, sometimes no month runway. Where, fuck, okay. As long as we good and I have a fighting chance, I can kid myself. Because it's important that I kid myself first. Because if I cannot fool myself that this has a chance, how will I be able to not fool? I'm not fooling anyone. How am I going to be able to convince my team, my investors, and our users that this still is worth it? I've learned that skill. And the turnaround time before, when I was younger, I get rattled, I get down in the dumps. But now it's like,
I had a term for that in my like BBR.
okay, what's BBR?
Bounce back rate.
Bounce back rate. There's a
love
metric,
it.
apparently.
So I was
Okay.
measuring exactly what you're measuring. Like,
Okay.
hey, like if this was me 3 years ago, like I'd be down in the dumps for a week. Now it's like 25 minutes.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
BBR like 10x.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
Nice.
Carbs, talk to me about your BBR then and your superpower.
No, yeah, definitely. A lot of sacrifices has been. It's not an easy path, right?
Yeah.
That's why when I meet like younger founders, like starting out, it's like I get it now when investors ask, "Why are you doing this?" Right? Because like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of us here, us three, we've seen all the bubbles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've seen all the, I
Yeah.
think we're
The bull
all.
run and the bears and all
I
that.
think we're all OGs here.
I know. We're still here, guys.
I know, right? So
We ain't dead.
yeah, no. So the sacrifices, like personally, I'm a breadwinner for my family. So, my parents are retired. So just that sacrifice on like, I know that I could be like, giving them more at this point in my like career. If I had gone corporate or whatever. But like startup founder salaries and like it really doesn't get high until like more of a later stage and so there's the family stuff and the personal time, right, and so on. But yeah, when you have a mission and when you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
that's you. You cannot change that.
No.
Right? And I
And it's a curse. When the bug hits you, it never leaves.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brought about superpowers. Like, I guess for me, one is like, turning pain into inspiration. I think that people often tell me they're very inspired by my journey, my story. And I always say when days are hard, like, hey, Carbs, the ability to inspire people, it's very rare. And like to have that, and that was a product of all the sacrifices and the pain. It's a rare position to be in, and I feel grateful about that. So turning pain into inspiration. Another superpower, resilience. I think really the BBR, the bounce back rate, is being a very strong person, right? And you can withstand any challenges that you didn't imagine you could. And that's just like it's very useful, and I think it's really coming from like learning to like sort of understand your sacrifices, also a position of privilege. So it's like a dichotomy sort of thing, like and for me it's more of I have a very meaningful purpose, something that most people, they don't find until they're 40 or 50 or maybe never even find, so to be young and like be living daily like what my purpose is and know that is something to be grateful for. And to be in a job where it's insane, it's chaotic, but like there is no other job than CEO and founder where you learn this much. Like there is no college degree, postgraduate degree out there other job. I mean, I realized like this is why so many movies are about CEOs.
Yeah.
So it's
And founders.
it's like I get it. And so, like there is nowhere else I can learn this much. And for me, I'm grateful to that. So yeah, those are some of the things. And like I'm sort of, like when you come from a position of being grateful, like it starts that you're able to enjoy it more. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Mel, how about you? What is your superpower now, and all the sacrifices that you think you've done over this thing, and what's the outcome of that?
I think like one of the sacrifices is like your social life. Like I don't really have no legit social life. Like
Sometimes you message Mel at 7 p.m. She replies at 11. She goes, "Sorry, I just finished work."
which is true. Which is true. So I legit have no social life. Not proud
But
of
she's a
it.
dating guru, by
Yeah.
the way. I don't know how she does this.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a
You should
boyfriend.
really tell that. Yeah.
So
Separate
yes.
episode for
Separate
that.
episode.
Wrong
Serious-
podcast. Wrong
Seriously.
podcast.
How to date while running a startup.
And still having no social life.
Yep.
Also.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back, no, on a serious note, how are you able to do this? Again, sacrificing your social life. What else?
I mean, like things like if I have like I travel now all of the time because like we have an entity in Indonesia, we have an entity in the US where it's like I have to be there and I miss a lot of like stuff, right? I miss family time. I miss time with loved ones, right? I miss time with friends. And so those are the things where, of course, when they get together, you're like, you just miss out. Like you totally have nothing to say because you really missed out. Like, and so for me, like obviously one way I have, decided to enjoy things is like to just enjoy those moments, right? So it's like if I am, say, in the States, and even if I am extremely busy, I will find time to say maybe watch a movie or eat good steak or
shit.
like
Oh,
at
that's
least
a
one
good
time,
thing if
right?
you can afford steak.
No, but I mean, there's like cheap steak.
Okay,
There's like
alright,
cheap
right.
steak where it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
$50.
Oh,
diba?
wow. Okay. Yeah.
Diba? Not bad in the US, diba? So, I mean, it's,
Yeah, I'm good with Chipotle na. I'm good na.
ako din eh. Ako
Okay.
din. But like, it's enjoying those moments and like just, amidst being busy and amidst like just running around. That I feel like that was one thing I really missed out. But again, it's like, between that or basically it was a life I chose, right? And it's like it was a life I chose to live. Like when I started a startup, I knew I wanted to go global. I knew I wanted to be in different countries. It's obviously a dream that I feel like, I'm starting to achieve, but it's also like obviously there are things that you miss out on. And
There's
it's
trade-offs, massive
yeah,
trade-offs.
definitely, right? And things like, for example, like we could get married now, diba? But we decide not to because like, there are bigger dreams that we want to achieve, right? Because it's like, again, shout out to the moms, my God, who run startups.
Whew. How are you able to do that?
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
hard.
like with kids, they are great. I have absolute admiration for them. Because it's like, I know I will be a mom someday, but like, I mean, Michelle Obama and Oprah, they talked about this.
Bella Gupta
Right?
D'Souza. Oh my God, how are you able to
I
do
know,
that?
right? I mean,
Mhm.
like Crystal, diba? Lee, diba? So parang, like, but, I mean, for me, I'm just at a point in my life where I'm like, I could have it all, but maybe not all at the same time.
Wait
right?
lang. Technically.
Right? And so
Right.
that's kind of like where the freezing of the eggs and
Ah, you
everything else will,
froze. Okay.
I will
Mhm.
come in because it's like, these things I wanna do it. Like, and it's like I wanna be able to be there. When you build something from scratch, it's like you wanna be there, right? So I guess those are the things that I feel like I've given up, but I don't think I've missed out because again, it's a life I chose to live, and
Right.
it's the life I've also wanted to always live. I've always wanted to create a global startup, and I
Got
feel like I'm living that dream. So that's the price for the dream.
What about the superpower? What have you developed, Super Mel, over this new span of time through all these adversity that you had to go through?
I think it's my therapist told me this, and she said that I, contrary to what I believe, I thrive in stressful situations. So at the most stressful of times, I'm normally like, I wake up and it's like, okay, these are the things that you have to do, right? And this is what we will get done. And we will win certain things and we will lose certain things, but we have to win these things. So I've sort of developed this strength where I know what to do next, or at least the way I think I put it in my head is, you know, prioritize certain things, right? And make sure you win those things. And so far it's worked. In fact, it came to a point when, you know, when you're no longer stressed, it's like your body
Why?
looks for it. Like,
Where's the stimulus?
right?
Okay.
So, but you know, I mean, I've learned to like adapt to it
Yeah.
really well, and I think obviously it's a skill you learn, especially when you just get thrown to it.
Super agree on the stimulus.
Give me some stress, guys. Come on.
Oh my God, like I swear, like there was a time when it was a boring week and I think I got sick and I was like,
Oh my god, I
what
experienced
happened?
the same. Right? I told my team, hey guys, I'm sick today. I think it's because there's like no problems.
Guys, that's a confirmation that we are all sick in the head now. Okay, there you go.
So I think it's that. I think I've developed to thrive during very, very stressful situations. But I also think over time, I've also, again, like what Carb said, I've learned to be very grateful. Over the little things, I've learned to, you know, enjoy certain things in life
Yep.
where, okay, this moment is a moment where, oh, you know, I've been trying to close this deal for so long and it's like,
Got it.
I got it, right? And
Nice.
it's like, these things are like, because you become better at it. Like, you know, the problems from the past where you didn't close it before
Yep.
because you weren't that founder fit for that time before, right? You are the founder now that you could close now because you've learned how to be really good at it. You've learned how to manage, you've learned how to sell, you've learned how to close that deal because, you know, you're so much better now. And I think those are moments that I particularly also enjoy just because it shows so much founder growth. I did not have a bounce back rate like Carbs, no? Like I don't have that.
So we're crazy. There you
Yeah.
go.
But also, but it's more like, oh, we're better at this now because it's like, you know, we've gone through the stressful things, you know, we've had the no's and we know how to navigate through the no's so we can eventually get those yeses. So I think that that's the superpower.
That's amazing. And you're absolutely right. It's all about learning that superpower of gratitude. And gratitude is what is going to propel us in our very next Founders Only Top 5. All right. And we're going to be talking about, again, I've already given you a heads up. In your opinion, but there's only 2 rules. You cannot pick yourself on who you think are your top 5, and you cannot pick me. I
Okay.
am not part.
Aw.
No. Okay, I cannot be part of your top 5. But let's start this. It's all about giving flowers to our fellow founders in the Startup PH. Up to you if you want to be female founder focused. We're not gender centric here, but who do you think, in your opinion, are the top 5 founders in the Philippines or wherever you want to give flowers to? Carbs, let's start with you. First pick.
Yeah, no, this really just ended up all female.
Okay.
I'll start with Mel.
Why?
No, it's really the passion. And I really, for me, we're not gonna cry here. Okay, for me, it's like, you know, it's just super unsexy, right? But like, it's such an important mission. And it's very difficult, actually, if you hear all the back end of it.
No. Carbs and I talk so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I
and
got you
so-
both here.
And so, you know, for me, I've always admired entrepreneurs to understand where they're really doing it for the mission. Even if it's not sexy, it's like very difficult. And I personally, I'm very energized whenever I'm with Mel.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
You're sick also if you're
Exactly
not
right.
energized by
And you know, Mel is actually, she's been there with me like also on. She's very like empowering. Like,
Yeah.
no girl, you have to fight.
She even said to me when we were almost dying, verbatim, this is not the hill you will die on. Wow.
That is a strange phrase, though. But very specific, girl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Verbatim
and-
stuck with me like, holy shit. Ain't nobody told me that ever. Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, for me, Mel is one.
Wait. Host.
Okay.
Okay. First pick. Who's your
And then
first
first-
pick?
Well, carbs.
Okay. There you go.
Guys,
Okay.
this is not rehearsed.
Yeah.
This is exchange gift. It's not even
know.
Christmas.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not Christmas yet.
Oh, why carbs?
Well, yeah, I mean, Carbs and I became like instant friends in like a trip in Bali. And I think it was really because we were going
Were
through
you
the
trying to
same
export
thing.
carbs? Okay.
Yes, I was
I don't
trying
mind.
to I was trying to export her, to different nationalities.
Oh, wow.
But
Dating again.
So that's a new vertical of 1Export.
Yeah.
Human trafficking.
oh my god, guys, my investors are watching this.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay.
Okay.
No, so like I think part of why we really just got along was
Yeah.
one, we just got so sick of the biases, and which we talked about. And it was like just navigating through, we were actually technically the same stage. So
Mm.
just navigating
Yeah.
through, metrics, or what do investors want, or who are the investors we have to look after, So like those things were very, very helpful. So like we became really good friends. I think not just because we were going through the same things, but we were also very passionate with the mission that we were trying to solve. Like education, it's really, really hard to solve. Like student loans, right? Giving somebody an opportunity to graduate, right? And to get a degree and to get a nice job and to have equal footing in the Philippines is very, very important. And Carbs is doing that, like regardless of whoever gives her shit.
Yeah.
Like, like nobody, like, like
gives me shit.
nobody is. I'm sure.
that?
No, but really, like, it's just so hard of a mission to solve. And it's also just the fact that she's like, no, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna, regardless of money or no money, I'm going to do this. It's just that it's also like we just kind of feed off each other's energy, because
Yeah.
it's like,
It's unfuckwithable energy. That's what I call
yeah,
it.
it's like, like, no,
Yeah.
sorry guys, you can't stop
I think
us.
it's great founder friendships are kind of like for me, I gravitate to Mel because I feel like my weaknesses are her strengths.
and my
so-
weaknesses are her strengths.
So it's like, girl, like, yeah, I'm feeling kind of like unconfident about this. She's like, no.
Okay. This is not the hill you die on, Carbs. Okay.
It's like, okay. Yeah, so thank you, Mel.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. All right, now the real list goes on because you cannot keep commending each other. What's your second pick,
Second,
Carbs?
I just saw her recently. Actually, me and Mel just saw her recently. Camille
Camille who?
Ang
Camille Ang
Yeah.
of
Hive Health.
Hive Health. Camille Ang, why is she a top founder in your opinion?
No, I'm one of the users of her product. And it's like so my company uses them for
They are your HMO provider.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, and like to see, like I was telling her, like the impact of your company has been solid. Like our employees are like super happy. They're like, we never want to go back to like, these brick and mortar. And I got my annual checkup, right?
Okay.
So I was super, with when you get your HMO, you have to, and you need a checkup, you need to file these letter of authorization.
Yeah,
you wait
it's
for many
annoying.
days.
Mhm.
So I ain't got time for that shit, right?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so like I forgot about it. And like I showed up in the hospital for my annual checkup. And then I was waiting in line for 1 hour. I'm like, oh shoot, like let me try and file that in the app. Maybe it'll
Mm.
like arrive. And like it literally arrived within the next hour before my turn. And I'm like, that is insane. Like
Wow.
that's like others take 3 days, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I ended up not spending. But I think it's really it's a very sort of difficult industry.
Yeah.
Also, again, very unsexy, right?
Yep.
Like it's and
I don't know why you girls keep looking at unsexy things. Okay.
yeah, and for me it's like healthcare, it's like super important.
Yeah.
So my third is also like in the healthcare,
Okay,
but I won't.
later. Cliffhanger
So shout
that out.
out to Camille.
Camille Ang of Hive Health. And again, shout out to Jawen, also her co-founder. All right. For you, Mel, what's your second pick?
I'd say Ray Refundo of
Oh
Clickwire.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Why?
when I started 1Export, I was still working for a consulting company. And like Ray was one of the guys that said, go quit your job. Like you can't do this if you're not committed. And like so I met him when we did the Maybank FinTech Challenge, which is basically one of those, competitions when you're starting out and stuff like that. And it's like, the guy gives like free advice. Like he will like make time for you. Like sometimes you will say like, Ray, I need help with something. And he will make time for you and he will listen to you rant and he will say, this is what I did. And, and he's one of the kindest founders like ever. Like, he will give you time. He's mentored like, the likes of Paymongo or any other startup that needs his help, he will make time to give forward. But he's also like legit kind. Like, he will, I would go to his office sometimes because we were in the Makati area and he will buy food for his employees. Or he will, he will take things out of pocket, right? To do stuff for people, right? And, even when, say, people try to like take advantage of him, which has happened a couple of times, like, he will put stuff from his own pocket so people don't feel like they've been taken advantage of. So I feel like it's like he's almost like a saint, but like
wow, that is heavy.
Diba?
Pray, Saint Ray Repundo, pray for us.
Totoo naman eh. Like he's so nice. It's like I mean, I would tell him like if that happened to me, I would do this.
Right.
Like, and wow, like it's like amazing.
I'm laughing because I have a funny Ray Refundo's story, but I will not unsaint him anymore. But yeah, Ray is such a
saint.
Still a saint again at the end of the day, and the amount of people he's built up, his cousins, the people, his team. He's not that type where I'm just gonna be the only one that thrives. Everybody that is around him is winning now.
Yeah. And actually, I'll tell you, like, I think there was a point in time where we interviewed somebody from Quickware. Sorry, Ray. Sorry.
Hala! Who is it?
I wasn't trying to, no, I'm just kidding. And I'm not kidding. So we gave an offer. And like, she decided to stay because she said something like,
Ray is a saint?
No, she didn't say Ray is a saint. But she said like, no, Quickware helped me at the toughest of times and I don't want to leave them. And that speaks to his leadership.
Yeah.
It's like, like people could just move on to the next job, right? But like people stay because like they believe in him and what he does and the kind of character that he is.
Yep. Again, very good pick. All right. Carbs, your third pick.
Oh, it's already the third. Founder of Kindred, Jessica De Mesa.
Shout out who is now Jessica De Mesa Lim. Just recently got married.
Oh my gosh, congrats. We're not even close. Like, I should probably be survived, but I'm a huge fan also. Like, I also use like Kindred because, like, I think, women's health, it's also been like really shitty. Like, so they were able to like aggregate that and I've been like recommending it. It's kind of like a viral, like, amongst other women. Okay. You probably don't know all the stuff we need to get checked.
I have a wife, so I kind of have an idea.
Okay, so and it's very hard to like research about it and like and so for them they've like aggregated that, they've made it like tech enabled and like it's really just like I tried their clinic and everything, like a lot of my friends did also, so it's also like a business I really hope will succeed because I think that apart from like really like good quality healthcare, it's like the education part of their model, like
yeah, absolutely. All right, Mel, your third pick.
Nina Dizon of Colorette. Like,
shout out Nina Dizon making another appearance. Okay.
I mean, I met her because like Foxmont.
I love the makeup.
The makeup is really good. Yeah. And I was like, girl, we gotta export this. So we are.
What a pitch.
We are working on exporting her products, but it's really like just the advocacy for like women and like loving yourself and your body, and like it's just very, very empowering, I think. But it's also just the business that she's built. It's like she has a cult following.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, you're not just talking about because she's an influencer on TikTok. It's like she legit has a cult following because the products are good.
Yep.
So it's like, it's like, well, like it's almost sometimes like, sometimes she feels unsure of herself. I remember she was like, I don't have like a Singapore entity or something. And I introduced her to the guy that set up my Singapore entity. But it's like, girl, you've got everything else figured out. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so I think she's like really, really a strong female inspiration, I think. And, she's something that, people, we need her. Like, the startup scene needs her. Like, the startup scene needs a different kind of like hustle. Like, she's hustled herself.
And I bumped into her in the Tatler dinner.
Yeah.
I told her, Mel, Nina, people were giving you flowers already on Founders Only. And you still keep, and I showed her the recibo on my WhatsApp. 3 times she scenes on me. Can you not make it afford it? And it's like, okay, I will guess on Hustleshare soon. Okay, so watch out when we do discuss the hustle behind Colorette soon on Hustleshare. All right, Carbs, your fourth pick.
Stephanie C of Thinking Machine.
Absolutely. Okay. Why
Solid.
Steph C? Another
Well, she's not just like a town sister. So we have this like sisterhood in towns.
okay.
Outstanding Women in Nation Service. But like I really admire how she's grown her company and then
Yeah.
regional. Like that
Yeah.
is hard stuff. And she actually like bootstrapped it,
Yeah.
really like and I've gotten a lot of like amazing advice from her. Also amazing advice in terms of like leadership and also like data science related stuff.
Yeah.
So just really like a fan of her company and like all the work it's done.
Absolutely. Mel, your fourth pick?
I'd say like RJ Ledesma of
Wow.
Okay, so why is this interesting for me? Like when I was starting 1Export, part of why I wanted to start it was because of Mercado. Right? Like Mercato Central, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's more because like I liked how he incubated, food ideas, that eventually, if they wanted to make a restaurant, like it was a testing ground,
You're
right?
making me hungry. I want
Right.
Guagua's best Hungarian. That's my always
Ooh,
my go-to.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
like the reason why I appreciated like things like that, right? Where like, it seemed like a very, very simple idea. Diba? Parang it's like bazaar. Pero like it was a very, very specific ground for incubating food ideas. And like when we started 1Export, I think it was very important for us to, incubate small businesses, right? So they did not know how to start exporting, what to do,
Mhm.
what did we need to do to make them export. And I kind of just followed the Mercato Central model. It wasn't like I made a bazaar, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't, but it was like, oh, okay, these are the things you need, and
Yeah.
then when you're done with this, we can export you, right? And so it was kind of like that was that. I think people take that for granted now, but back then, when Mercato was like starting,
Yeah.
It was something. It was a big thing where like
Yeah.
when you're part of that market, when you're part of the BGC market, like
Yep.
like it was something. And so I think just giving that chance to small businesses, like I figured, at least in my young brain, was like, yeah, we could do this. We could do this for
Yeah.
small businesses.
Absolutely. And again, such a nice guy. He's the one who hosted my wedding.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And he's also my ninong in my
Oh.
wedding with Ninang Vanessa. They're amazing, amazing people. And again, super humble, very, very selfless in the way they do. And again, just like you, I don't know where he gets his energy. So much energy. Oh my God. Such an amazing person. Last and final pick for you, Carbs.
Oh, last. Kim Yao.
Oh my
Cloud
God.
Eats.
Kim Burley Yauza. I call her Kim Yauza. Why?
No, Super. I mean, she also started another company before Cloud Eats, right? Like, she was involved with Boozy and like, no, I think, I mean, with all the people I mentioned, like, I'm a huge fan of like their products and, but like Kim's also just someone like, she's helped me a lot with like, just like random questions. I feel like, hey, can you recommend like a lawyer or like, very accommodating. And I do think like she's one of the entrepreneurs like I've met like who's like pretty humble, seems like you can give her feedback. She takes it well and like really seems to be quite strategic
Yep.
about like the business also. Yeah, she's like one of those that I've asked every now and then like for just random advice.
Yeah. So you know why I respect Kim so much? Remember my first startup? It was nightlife, right?
Yeah.
You know what Kim's where Kim made her killing? She used to be a partner of the Palace.
Oh, okay.
Embassy Days, Republic Days.
Oh my gosh.
Palace
Oh,
Days.
wow.
She ran that thing.
Yeah.
Damn.
It is. And oh my God, when we had these biggest Swedish house mafia, Alesso, Tiesto, whatever, she's always the person, one of her team is behind that. But man, can you just imagine? I ran the guest list of a club. She ran the whole damn thing.
Damn.
And it made it profitable.
No, yeah, I think she's like really had a lot of experience and
And she's she's probably just a year older than me.
yeah.
Or 2 years older than me.
So yeah, so exactly. I felt like, again, I'm not even close with Kim. Like she might be surprised. But
Idol.
she's like someone I saw her like background what she's done. It's like, oh, like she's done a lot for her age,
Because you know how she started out? She started out as a promoter in college. She became so good, she became part of management. She had shares, ran the
Amazing.
clubs. And look at the size of clubs from Emba days.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Emba is so...
Yeah, I
Right.
know. What, Tita Mel? You
It's
did
kinda
Emba.
like- We're just covering really from the same generation.
Emba to Republic to Palace. It became Valkyrie and now it's Silo. That thing has Kim Yao all over. That's why I call her Kim Yaoza because that's her promoter name.
Oh.
Hosted by Kim Yaoza. And easily one of the best female entrepreneurs in this country. Whatever she touches turns to gold. Yes, your last pick, Mel.
Yeah, I guess like Crystal Lee Gonzalez. Like
Yep.
I have to say, like, it's hard. I was saying this. It's hard to find like people you admire, right? And like, wow, she has done it all, honey. Like she has done Honest Bee, right?
Picaroo.
Canva, Picaroo, right? Viber, and it's just amazing how it's hard to manage, right?
Yep.
It's hard to manage.
She's a mom now.
And she is a mom with 3 kids. Like, and
How?
she was recently giving me advice. Like every time I make a new milestone, I have a kid. And it's like, honey, like, how do you do it? It's like, good for you. She's like, it's amazing. It's like, I mean, it's really just like a testament to like working moms who can have it all. It's like, I kind of just admire that because it's like, those brands were hard to run.
Yep.
Like, it's not like, Viber is number 1. It's not WhatsApp, right? Like, it's like,
Yep.
and it was because of her. Like, it was like, like these are things that are not easy to run. It's a hard business to begin with. Technically, the odds are against you. And it's like, wow, she did it so well with like focus and like, and running the startup with a family. It's like, wow, I do not know how you did that.
Absolutely. Solid picks, Carbs and Mel. But before I let you go, invite people over. What is next for you guys for 1Export and also for InvestEd? It is your chance to give a shout out and again, get people to understand if they want to reach out to you and work with you. Where do they go and how do they do that? Mel.
So for us, obviously, what's next is we are trying to obviously still make sourcing and shipping much more affordable and simple and in Southeast Asia. So if you want to export your products, you want to find affordable shipping, just go to 1export.com. We have 3 different products. You just click on the product that you want. So it could be a supplier if you want to make your products export ready. If you're looking to sell products at wholesale prices abroad, it's 1Export Trade. And Ship It is like affordable and fast, reliable shipping from the Philippines and Indonesia to the rest of the world. So if you need any of that, just go to our website. We would love to have you as a customer, and we would love to serve you and understand your problems.
That's amazing. All right, Carbs?
Yeah, no. So inviting anyone and everyone who wants to get into education for all as a mission. So I think I'd like to point we're heading off into an enrollment season soon.
There you go.
And so there are it's not really changed. There's still like millions and millions of students who need funding for education. So we are actually open for like our impact lending program.
Okay.
And
that?
so these are actually our lenders who we get the money from that we loan out to students. And so our lenders at InvestEd, these are high net worth individuals. There's also like millennial couples who are investing, family funds, family offices, if you have professional funds. We also have microfinance banks now.
Nice.
And employers. Who can also like employ our borrowers. And so and you get to earn fixed interest rate above inflation, at the same time help students go to school.
Amazing.
Yeah, so if so we're open to lenders, we're also open to partners. If you're an institution who has works with a lot of like learners or students who need financing, then contact us. So how can you contact us? Just go to invested.ph. And you'll see everything there. But you can also like search me on LinkedIn, like send me a message there. That also works much faster. Yeah.
And she replies right away. That's it. Okay. So again, Mel and Carbs, thank you very much for such an amazing episode.
Thank you.
But before I let you go, follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening to. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe on this channel. Help us, get more feedback. Let us know if you like their picks or whatever questions you have. Just shoot us on the comments below. And if you if we did say some jargon, it's going to be the show notes on hustleshare.com. And lastly, if you want to be part of our community, please join our community on Hustleshare Facebook. And if you also want to be part of the premium membership, we didn't have them today, but typically we will have questions from our premium Hustleshare users. So again, Carbs and Mel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Thank you so much for watching Hustleshare on YouTube. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to get more content like this. And to get the full audio episodes of Hustleshare and Founders Only, subscribe to our podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.